Hi everyone, welcome to SCT with Veena. Here we break down SCT strategies in the simplest way possible. Today, we're going to master one of the most common question types on the digital SAT reading and writing section, words in context questions. The good news is that these questions are actually very predictable and very solvable if you know the right strategy. So in this video, I'm going to show you what words in context questions are, why students often get them wrong, and a simple 5-step method that helps you answer them in under 45 seconds. Let's get started. If you're aiming for a 700 plus or even 750 plus score in SAT English, this is a skill you absolutely must master. Let's get started. First, let's understand what this question type actually is. Words in context questions ask you to choose the word or phrase that best fits the meaning, tone, and context of a sentence or a short passage. Notice something important here. The SAT is not just testing vocabulary. Instead, it's testing whether you can understand the meaning of the sentence, identify the tone, and select the word that fits logically into the context. So, even if you don't know a difficult vocabulary word, you can still answer the questions correctly by using the context clues. Now, let's talk about where these questions appear on the SAT. Words in context questions usually show up at the beginning of reading and writing module 1 and also in module 2. They belong to the craft and structure category, and you can expect around 4 to 6 questions in total on the test. That means mastering this skill can give you easy points very quickly. And remember, these questions are always based on meaning, tone, and context, not just vocabulary memorization. So, what's the real purpose of these questions? Think of them like a detective game. The SAT gives you a sentence, a blank, and 4 possible words. Your job is to look for clues in the surrounding text to figure out which word makes the most sense. Sometimes a word might look unfamiliar, but the context around it reveals the meaning. So instead of guessing, you're actually solving a puzzle using the clues in the passage. Let's take a look at the typical format. You will usually see a sentence or a short passage with 1 word missing and 4 answer choices. Your task is to select the word that fits grammatically, fits logically, and maintains the intended meaning of the sentence. Remember, the SAT loves precision. Only one answer will perfectly match the context. To solve these questions well, students need 3 main skills. First, vocabulary awareness. You don't need to know every word in the dictionary, but having a strong vocabulary definitely helps. Second, context clue detection. You must learn to spot hints in the surrounding sentence. Third, understanding the tone and sentence structure. Sometimes the correct answer is determined by whether the sentence has a positive, negative, or neutral tone. Now, here is a very important concept. Words have 2 types of meanings, denotation and connotation. Denotation simply means the literal dictionary definition of a word. For example, bright means giving off light. But connotation refers to the emotional or cultural associations connected to the word. For example, childlike and childish both relate to children, but childlike has a positive connotation while childish has a negative connotation. On the SAT, choosing the correct word often depends on matching the tone of the sentence. So how do we actually master this question type? Here are 3 important habits. First, build vocabulary gradually. Read articles, practice SAT passages, and learn new words regularly. Second, become a context detective. Always examine the surrounding words carefully. Look for synonyms, contrasts, descriptions, explanations, etc. Third, think about grammar and sentence flow. Sometimes the sentence requires a verb, a noun, or an adjective, and that alone eliminates some options. Strong vocabulary gives you 3 major advantages on the SAT. First, you can decode unfamiliar words faster. Second, it improves your reading speed and comprehension. Third, it allows you to answer questions with more confidence. Many high scorers in SAT English develop a habit of learning 10 to 20 new words every day. Another powerful strategy is learning word parts. Many English words are built using roots, prefixes, suffixes. For example, the root cred means believe, so credible means believable. Prefixes change meaning. For example, anti means against, by means to, inter means between. Suffixes change the form of the word. For example, logi means to study. If you understand these patterns, you can often guess the meaning of unfamiliar SAT words. Now, let's look at some of the most common roots you'll see on the SAT. These roots form the base meaning of a word, and once you know them, you can unlock dozens of words instantly. First, cred, meaning believe. On the slide, you see credible, which means believable. But there are more SAT words from this same root. Credit, meaning trust. Credibility, meaning reliability. Incredulous, meaning unwilling to believe. If you know that cred means believe, all of these become easy to decode. Next root, dict, meaning say or speak. The slide shows dictate, meaning to command, which comes from speaking with authority. Other SAT words include predict, to say before something happens, contradict, to speak against someone's point, and verdict, literally true saying or judgment. Finally, the root port, meaning carry. You already see portable on the slide, meaning easy to carry. But you'll also see transport, to carry across, import, to carry in, and export, to carry out. So this is why roots are powerful. Learning one root unlocks an entire family of words, and that makes words in context questions much, much easier. Now let's look at prefixes. These are word parts added to the beginning of a word to change its meaning. First prefix, anti, meaning against. On the slide, you see antisocial, which means against social norms. Some additional SAT level examples are antidote, meaning something that works against poison, antibody, which works against infection, and antagonist, someone who works against the main character. So anytime you see anti, think resistance or opposition. Next prefix, bi, meaning two. So the slide shows bicycle, two wheels. More examples include bilingual, speaking two languages, bi-monthly, occurring twice a month, bisect, to cut into two equal parts. So whenever you see bi, think two or double. Third prefix, inter, meaning between. The example here is interact, meaning to engage with people. Additional SAT words include interfere, to get between something, and interrupt it. International, between nations. Intersect, lines crossing between one another. So this prefix often shows relationships or connections. Understanding prefixes gives you shortcuts. Even if the word looks difficult, the moment you recognize the prefix, you've already unlocked half the meaning. Let's look at three common suffixes that frequently appear in the SAT vocab. First, full means full of. For example, joyful means full of joy. Second, less means without. So fearless means without fear. Al means relating to. In the word visual, the suffix al helps to create a word that means relating to seeing. So recognizing suffixes also can help you quickly break down unfamiliar words on the SAT. Here are a few quick ways to improve vocabulary efficiently. First, learn word families. Second, break down unfamiliar words into roots, prefixes, and suffixes. And finally, practice with real SAT passages, because that's the best way you see how words are used in context. You can also use flashcards to learn new words, like Quizlet. I've created a full downloadable list of SAT roots, prefixes, and suffixes along with some vocabularies to help you revise quickly. You can download it from the description below. Now, let's talk about how to use everything we have learned on the actual SAT, especially when you're stuck on a tricky word. This is your quick 4-step rescue plan. Step 1, identify the root. Look for the base meaning. Even a small root can unlock most of the word. Step 2, spot the prefix or suffix. These pieces change the direction of the meaning, positive. negative, opposite, quantity, intensity, everything. Step 3, predict the meaning before you look at the options. This prevents the answer choices from confusing you. If your prediction is close, you're already 80% there. Step 4, confirm with the context. Read the sentence again and ask, does this meaning fit the tone, logic, and purpose of the sentence? If it fits, choose it confidently. If it doesn't, eliminate and move on. So using these 4 steps together makes even unfamiliar words predictable and manageable. Exactly what you want on the test day. Now, I'm going to teach you the exact strategy that I suggest. It's called MPCSE method. This stands for meaning, predict, clues, substitute, eliminate. If you follow these 5 steps in order, you can solve most words and context questions in under 45 seconds. Let's apply this strategy to a real SAT style question. The passage talks about a spacecraft that touched an asteroid and gathered the material. Step 1, meaning. First, read the passage and understand the idea. Let's read it together now. Please pause the video and read it. What the passage says is that the spacecraft touched the asteroid and took pieces of it to bring back to Earth. Step 2, predict. Before looking at options, fill the blank with your own simple word, maybe something like took or gathered. Step 3, clues. Look at the surrounding words. The sentence says, gathering pieces of it to bring back to Earth. So clearly, the spacecraft obtained a sample. Step 4, substitute. Now test the options. Option B says collected, successfully collected a sample. That matches perfectly. Step 5, eliminate. The other options don't make sense. Attached, followed, replaced. So the correct answer is B, collected. One more important tip. You should spend about only 45 seconds per words and context question. And remember a critical rule. Never read answer choices first. Always understand the sentence before looking at options. All right, everyone. Now that we understand the MPCSE method, let's apply it to some real SAT practice questions. Remember the strategy: meaning, predict, clues, substitute, eliminate. And very important rule, do not look at the answer choices first. Always understand the sentence before looking at the options. Let's begin with question 1. You get 45 seconds to solve it on your own. Your time starts now. You may open a timer on your phone and pause 45 seconds. All right, let's go step by step. Let's read the sentence. Though many blank studies of the effect of altitude on blood chemistry focus on people who live above sea level, researchers recently chose the novel path of focusing on people who live below sea level. So the clue words here are though and novel. Novel meaning something new or unusual. So the researcher's approach is described as different from the usual approach. That's the meaning. Predict. If the researcher's method is novel, then the studies mentioned before the blank must be the usual or traditional studies. So we predict a word meaning usual, traditional, or standard. Now let's look at the choices. Eccentric, strange, or unconventional. This is the opposite of what we need. Option B, meager, small in amount. The sentence is not talking about quantity. C, conventional. Yes, traditional, usual. That matches our prediction perfectly. Option 4, D, random, without a pattern or reason, does not fit the context. So the correct answer is conventional. So the contrast word though sets up a difference between the studies and the researcher's new approach. That was our clue. All right, everyone, this is practice question 2. Just like before, apply the full MPCSE method. Please pause for 45 seconds and solve it on your own. The passage says, the character Trofimov says he has undergone a great deal. Step 1, meaning he says he's hungry, ill, and shaken. Clearly, He has experienced a lot of hardship. Step 2, predict. So the word undergone probably means experienced suffering. Step 3, clues. Look at the clues. Hungry, ill. Fate tossed me everywhere. These are negative experiences. Step 4, substitute. Neglected, ignored, enjoyed, liked, conveyed, communicated, endured, suffered through. So that's the answer. We choose that, endured, suffered through. That matches our prediction. Step 5, eliminate. Only endured matches the idea of suffering. So we select the answer endured and we eliminate all the other options. All right, practice question 3. Please pause for 45 seconds. MPCSE method. The sentence says an organization promotes indigenous photographers to support its mission, meaning the organization is demonstrating its commitment. Predict. So the missing word should mean demonstrates or shows. Clues. The phrase, by promoting works of artists, gives an example of their action. Substitute. Concludes. Finishes. Explains. Describes. Precedes. Comes before. Shows. Demonstrates. So only D fits logically. So we eliminate all the other options. Practice question 4. Please pause for 45 seconds. The Cambodia Securities Exchange connects small companies with investors so those companies can thrive. Meaning, the exchange helps small companies grow and succeed. Predict. The missing word should mean support or develop. Clues. Look at the phrase, help those companies thrive. That clearly suggests growth. Substitute, designate, assign. Nurture, help grow. Preclude, prevent. Assess, evaluate. Only nurture means helping something grow. So we eliminate all the other options and pick the correct answer B. Remember, no looking at answer choices first. Practice question 5. Meaning, the realist style showed ordinary people as they truly were, unlike romantic paintings that exaggerated beauty and heroism. Predict. The missing word should mean oppose or work against. Clues. Look at the phrase. Instead exaggerated their subjects, beauty or heroism while hiding all imperfection. So the realist style did the opposite. Substitute and eliminate. Understand, comprehend. Advance, promote. Counteract, oppose. Accentuate, emphasize. Only counteract means oppose or work against something. So the correct answer is C. Fantastic work today, everyone. You just learned how to attack words and context questions using the MPCSE method. Now that you understand how to decode words and context questions efficiently, we are going to move on to the next part, which is text structure and purpose. This is the next video in the craft and structure category. Amazing job today, everyone. Let's keep the momentum going.